Are you just now getting into spirituality and meditation and are looking for books to kind of navigate your way through it a little bit easier? Or maybe you're the kind of person that has already been into these things for a while, has been meditating and doing yoga for a long time, and you're just looking to deepen your practice. This video here overviews 10 different books, my top 10 book recommendations for really deepening your practice, going further, gaining more insight, and just learning more about what it means to be yourself. So my name is Gordon. I have been meditating every day for about 7 years now, and books have been a huge part of my journey. They've really helped deliver me beyond plateaus, push me to the next level, and give me insights that I just could not get by myself in meditation. So with that being said, I have put together this list of 10 different transformative books that have been really impactful for me in my life and my growth and my journey. They're not going to be listed in order of 1 to 10, but rather they're going to be divided by category. We're going to look at books that tell real life stories of people and their actual experiences. We're also going to look at books that have prayers and meditations and things like that included in them, something for you to follow directly, as well as informative books, and then of course storybooks that have deep messages behind them and can provide great insight. And make sure you stick around for the end as well, because I'll be including a bonus author as well as just some information to help you choose the right book for you. So I felt it was only appropriate to start with my favorite category, which is the category that a lot of people gravitate towards, and that is real life stories. So when it comes to real life stories, they can be more impactful, more potent, and really just make us know what is possible when entering onto this journey of meditation, yoga, art, or wherever we find ourselves. So the first book that I'm going to recommend is Autobiography of a Yogi. It's a book that has been around for many years and has really transformed a lot of people, and in fact has been the catalyst of awakening for many people. The second real story book that I'll recommend is Messages from the Masters. This is a book by Brian Weiss, and it is one of my favorites, hands down, that I've read. Brian Weiss is a psychologist who would do regressions on people, and through doing hypnosis and regressions actually accidentally discovered that you could regress people into their past lives. So Messages from the Masters is the stories of his practices, the experiences that people had, the experiences that he had facilitating them through it. And it's really just filled with an amazing variety of insights, stories, and things to help push you a little bit further. The third book that I'll recommend when it comes to these real stories is Serpent of Light. This book was written by Drunvalo Melchizedek, and man, it's his story of not only his personal journey through what the divine was asking him to do, his own relationship with his intuition, but just this incredible, fascinating interaction that he has with the spiritual side of the world. Our interaction with the material is pretty simple, but when it comes to the spiritual, things get a little weird, things get a little different, and this book delivers on just that. So definitely check that out if you're really into some deeper stories and things that are almost unbelievable. So the second category that we are going to look at is going to be books on meditations and guided prayer and things along those lines. These books can be particularly powerful if you already kind of have a practice that you've developed but you're plateauing a little bit. Something to give you guidance and help you navigate the sometimes torrential waters. So the first book that I'm going to recommend with prayers and meditations in it is going to be Discovering the Healer Within. This is a really great book because not only does it include guided instruction on specific meditations, but in addition it also includes stories with each chapter. Again, real life stories. So that way you have something to put it in context with. You have something to hold on to that shows you, okay, this is real and there's a lot of opportunities for growth that can come from this. The second book that I'm going to recommend, which is similar, is Miraculous Silence. This book here is by Mitra Rabar, and it is absolutely jam-packed with all these different prayers and meditations that you can use to especially help you through tough times. It's categorized by whatever it is that you're going through, each chapter, and each chapter also begins with stories similar to discovering the healer within. So if you're looking for something to really help you get through a process that you're going through, if you feel stuck, this book is amazing at getting you through that. So the last book that I'll recommend when it comes to prayers and meditations is actually a Buddhist classic, and that is the Dhamapada, but specifically this translation here by Warren. And the reason why I specifically choose this translation is because, for one, it's very easy to read. The text itself reads almost like poetry, but is meditative, and it gives some kind of instructions on how to live as well. But in addition, the introduction to this book is 100 pages long, and it is by far the best introduction of any book I've ever read. It talks about the story and the life of the Buddha himself. So if you're interested in another one of those fusions between real life stories and a book of guidance on meditation, the Dhamapada is amazing. Alright, our third category, and one near and dear to my heart, is storybooks. These books are stories that have been made up, of course, by the author, yet carry such deep themes and deep lessons and insights to pull from. So the first of these books that I'll recommend is one of the biggest books ever on the market, The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho. If you've heard of spirituality and you've heard of reading, you've heard of The Alchemist. It's a storybook talking about a shepherd and his path to realizing his personal legend. I won't say too much about it because I don't want to spoil it, but I will say this is one of the best storybooks ever written. The second storybook that I'll recommend is also one very near and dear to my heart, and that is Johnathan Livingston's Seagull. This is a short book, and in fact was, I believe, meant for children. However, is hands down one of the most powerful books that I've ever read in my life. It gives a lot of guidance on what it means to find your passion. It gives a lot of insight on what it means to fall in your truth, even when people around you don't necessarily resonate with that. So if you're looking for some inspiration, if you're looking for that next push to get you out of your rut, definitely check this book out because it is truly amazing. And lastly, the category that I have for you is books that are more informative. Maybe you're a nonfiction reader, maybe you're more into just getting the information clear cut and no more. So for those kind of readers, I do have a couple book recommendations. One of the best books, in my opinion, in that category is The Map to Wholeness. Now this book literally just hit shelves. This copy that I have here is the uncorrected galley proof. So this is a fairly recent book. However, it goes over the 13 phases of transformation, and it helps you locate where you're at in your transformation process and what you need to do next. I highly, highly, highly recommend it if that's the kind of book that you're into. And lastly, one of the most potent, informative books when it comes to understanding the nature of reality and where we land in the universe is the Kybalion. The Kybalion was written actually anonymously. This book talks about the different hermetic principles as written in the Emerald Tablet and how they govern everything around us, the rules for the universe, right? It's like spiritual laws of physics. It's very, very interesting. So definitely check it out if that's what you're into. And lastly, even though this did not make it into the top 10 book recommendations, one that I wanted to shout out and include is the collected works of Khalil Gibran. What's amazing about this is Khalil Gibran was a poet, and so he not only wrote books and short stories, but he also wrote poetry, and all of them are spiritually themed. All of them beat around the same bush of what it means to grow spiritually, of what it means to discover oneself. So in his collected works, he includes not only those poems, but some short stories that he wrote that are world famous, like The Prophet, and things along those lines. So definitely check that out. And when you are trying to find a new book, something that I recommend is going to the bookstore and just going to the metaphysical section, the meditation section, and standing in front of it and just seeing what calls to you. Sometimes we can be attracted subconsciously to a book title or to a certain color or anything really, and our body, our intuition knows what it is that we need, even though our mind isn't quite up to speed. So you'll find that you'll be attracted to some book, and you may look at the title and think, there's no way in hell I'm going to read this, and you pull it out, flip it to a random page, and it just captures you. Oftentimes, these books that you happen upon are the most powerful, especially for your story and your life. So, if you're looking for a book, just go to the bookstore, stand in front of the section that interests you most, and just see where your body kind of pulls you towards. Once you find that book, open it up to a random page. If it doesn't capture you, go to the first page, read that first page. If it doesn't capture you, close it, put it back. But oftentimes you'll find something really, really meaningful doing that. So I hope these book recommendations were useful to you all and that you find some deep insights and greater things from them. Definitely comment below on any books that you feel I missed, any books that have been really transformative and powerful for you. And if you're interested in more content or deepening your spiritual practice, check out the Patreon link in the description. That's where I release guided meditations 1 to 2 times a month. They are downloadable, and you have access with your Patreon subscription to every single guided meditation that I've ever recorded. So check it out. Happy journey, and I hope that all of this helps you.